G'day gang. This episode we're going to show you how we mounted our spotlights onto the standard bumper bar on Rocky, our Super Duty.
Hello and welcome to Audrey the Icon Adventures. I'm Connie.
And I'm Daryl.
And this is Audrey the Icon.
The first item we're going to remove to do this installation is this piece up top here. I'm going to call it the shroud for the radiator. There's probably a better name for that. Anyway, do for us. You'll see it's got all these little push-in clips with the little plastic Phillips type screws. Just screw on them gently and they'll come out. Sometimes you have to hold the domed part or the lower part of the clip for that to work. Now, to take all of this section out, which is 3 pieces, you don't have to take out this one here or this one here. They only attach the outside piece to the centre piece. So you can leave those on so you can take it all off as one piece. One of the parts we need to remove is the fascia. You'll see I've already pulled all the little clips out. I use a small flat blade screwdriver to pull the pin out, and then I was able to pry out the plastic clip very easily without damaging anything. Then down low behind each end of the fascia, there's those little plastic spring clips that you push into, so you have to a little bit of force to get them to release. When removing the fascia, there's 3 of these push style clips up underneath. This connector is something that you have to unplug to remove the fascia. That's for the parking sensors that are in that plastic fascia. The last item we need to remove to make it easy to install the harness is the grill. Now the grill has those typical little push into metal clips, one in behind here, some again over here, and to get them out it's literally just grab hold of the grill and jiggle it gently and they will slide out. There are 5 bolts that hold the grill in. There's one there, one up there. They are the 2 larger bolts, as in larger diameter. And there are 3 small bolts. And Ford's made access fairly easy. In the plastic piece here, there's a nice big hole. There's a bolt in through there. Some again down this end, bolt in through there. And then the third one you'll see is just down here behind the camera. To access that is up through here. They are all 8mm head. The way I did it, short socket, 2 6-inch extensions and a 1/4 drive ratchet, and I was able to reach in and get all of them fairly easily. Just be careful when undoing them because they might want to fall down and land somewhere that's awkward to get at. Now you can see that I've got the bumper fascia off, the grill out, and the trim across the top of the radiator support panel off. That gives us full access into being able to mount the lights and to run the cabling. Down here you'll see these, my pointer's a magnet so it's sticking to the bumper. Down here you see the 4 holes from the plastic clips that hold the fascia on through the middle. Then on the outside of the light there's this plastic piece that also has a hole in it. And that's the same over on the driver's side as well. Plastic there. There's the camera mounted right in the middle for us. You can see down here where I have the light mounted, and you go, oh, that light could be over here more. Yes, it could. Thing is, I wanted to have the lights as far out as I could to reduce the impact on airflow into the radiator. And even then, these 9-inch lights still shield the radiator to quite a degree. To mount these lights, you may see right in under here there's a blue bolt. That's not an original bolt. That bolt there goes into one of the braces that mounts the bumper. It's a 10.9 bolt, and the original bolt is only just long enough to do the job. When you put a rubber packer on and then the light itself, the original bolt's just too short. Lucky for me, I had some longer bolts laying around. Over here on the middle mount for the light is one of the bolts that came with the set of lights, and that's where I had to drill a hole into the steel bumper. Out here to the side, the third mounting position, as you can see, is just floating in air. To date, no dramas. We've done approximately 4,000 kilometres with them on all sorts of road, and they haven't fallen off. To allow this to be mounted here, this plastic piece had to be modified. I cut this off. You can see that there's two mounts there for the plastic clips for the fascia. That's about 7 inches worth there. You can see just here that I've cut it so it cleared the bracket for the light, and that's the same on both sides. Like many sets of spotlights that you can buy, ours came with a universal harness, and this is it on the tray. Universal harnesses, they're functional, they work. The problem that I have is that they are never neat and tidy, and they don't ever look good. Being that our Super Duties come with all the wiring and relays, etc. to mount up driving lights or spotlights, I made my own harness. This goes from the tail up just above the radiator and comes down and feeds each of the spotlights. It's all in plastic tube, it's all heat shrunk up. It'll keep most of the dirt, crap and corruption out of the harness, and that's what I want to achieve. And it fits properly, therefore even though you won't see it, I'll know that it's neat and tidy and it'll look half decent. For the right hand spotlight, you might just see the harness running here. For the left hand spotlight, you'll see the harness running again, tucking up behind. It's all zip tied in against the factory harness that runs through there for the fog lights and for the parking sensors. The harness pokes up from behind the spotlight just here and follows up along this factory harness here up to behind the headlight. Then it pokes through over the top of the bonnet cable that's down through this little slot just here, out and around underneath this harness, and it comes along up and goes onto this connector that I've put on. That's a 25 amp per pin connector there, more than enough to run these pair of spotlights. And the reason I went with that size connector is because it's 2.5 square millimetre cable for here, for this tail, and I've used 2.9 square millimetre cable to come out of it to minimise any voltage drop to get out to the lights. This connector has suitably sized pins to allow that size cable to be used. You can see that it fits in there nice and tidy, tucked in right tight with all the factory harness, so by rights it should never get snagged or damaged on anything. Now let's start putting it all back together. There we go, grill back on. Just a straight reversal of the removal process. I slid it into place and clipped in each of the clips for where it mounts into the headlights. Then I put the 3 lower bolts in loose, same with the upper bolts, and then I just did them all up firm with the 8mm socket on the long extensions again. Part of doing that, and the way my spotlights worked out, you'll see the cable harness coming through the grill right there. And there's a lovely big opening right there for it to come out, so it was as if it was designed for it. Same again over here on the left hand side, straight through the perfectly placed hole in the grill. With our lights all mounted up now, it's time to get the bumper fascia back on. Obviously with our brackets for lights coming down, we're going to have to make some clearance in the fascia. And this is how I did it. I held the fascia up to the light, put a bit of a mark on the bumper, did a bit of a rough measurement as to how far from this hole here to come forwards to clear the mount I'd have to be. I drilled a hole at the end and then I just cut it out with a hacksaw gently, and I've got 4 slots like that. Most of them turned out pretty good even. Let's put it up there and you can see it in the fitted position. When you put the fascia back on, remember the plug that's down just behind here for the parking sensors. Get down close to this driver's side spotlight. You'll see that I've got the slot fairly close to allow the fascia to slide in over the bracket. For our lights, the light just rests on the fascia, and the mounting bolts for the brackets, they're now hidden underneath the fascia so you can't see them. There's a close-up view of the camera just to make sure that it's fairly centre. Now we'll just go along and put all the clips back in. When reinstalling the fascia, remember the 3 push pin clips that are underneath here. There we go. The radiator support shroud is all back in. Just push the clips in gently. I use a Phillips to push them, to put the little plastic screws in so I don't strip them. Makes it easier to pull them out next time. Well, the next step is to test the lights to make sure they work. To do that, we need to have the car running, and then we can check the operation with the high beam switch. Let's get him started up. As you can hear, Rocky is now running. Down here, the headlights always default to automatic. We need to turn them on. That's 1 click clockwise. They're now on. You'll see the headlight on icon just over here on the left of the dash. All the overhead switches are pulled to the back, so they have a blue light. That is the off position. Number 6, being the one closest to the driver, is what we've used for the spotlights. Let's turn the high beam on. High beam icon down there just below the water temperature gauge. Let's turn the spotlight switch on. You see that it now goes amber. There's spotlights working with the high beam. Let's go and turn the high beam off and leave the spotlights turned on. You'll now see the headlights are on. High beam indicator is no longer on. On the overhead console, the switch is still on. The amber light has gone off, indicating that the lights are now off, which is what you need to have. There we go. The only thing left to do now is go for a drive in the dark and adjust the lights. And there we go. For the adjustment of the lights, if you asked 100 people, you get 100 different answers. For me, I like the left-hand light to push down the left-hand side of the road as far as I can, help light up where the old skippies might be. And the right-hand light, I have it tipped down just a little bit to help put light onto the road for where we're driving. I'm not going to bother taking you for a drive tonight. You'll play with your spotlights and adjust them how you want to work with your high beam and how you'll load it up, etc. There you go, job done. We had to drill a couple of holes and do a little bit of cutting on our brand new $100,000 car. Anyway, that's what it takes when you need to get a vehicle sorted out to go and do what we're going to do. And as you can see by the muddy water marks on him, he's already been out doing some of what we like to do. There'll be more of that coming up in an episode very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Happy travels.